day ahead of you. One of my disciplines is, excuse me, is to continue to read through the New Testament, and when I finish, I just start over and then finish and start over. And so this time I'm in 2 Peter chapter 3 and reading, and I thought it was an appropriate thought that Peter has for the church as he tries to lead the church of the first century. And the church has a major schism. Within it, there are those who follow the circumcision group and believe that the works that you do have something to do with whether or not you're saved. And then there's Paul's group that says, no, salvation is by grace and faith, and that's it, and our works are a result of the Spirit that's in us. So there's this schism back and forth, and Peter eventually, it takes time, but Peter eventually lines up with Paul. And so they think the same by the end of their lives. And in chapter 3, Peter is writing to the church, and he starts chapter 3 with this. This is now my second letter to you. I've written both of them as reminders to you in order to stimulate you to wholesome thinking. That's a good calling for a church that is, working at each other, is to figure out how to have some wholesome thinking. And he goes on to say, to talk about the second coming. Remember, Jesus is coming back, and we're going to be held accountable for the things that we're saying and what we're doing and who we're becoming. We're going to be held accountable for these things. You don't know when it's going to happen. It'll be like a thief in the night, he says. And then he says this phrase that I think would be a good phrase for the church today. He says, since everything's going to be destroyed in this way, the heavens will disappear and the elements will be destroyed, like the worldly things are going to be gone. Since everything's going to be destroyed this way, what kind of people ought we be? It's a great question, isn't it? Since it's going to be destroyed anyway, what kind of people ought we be? And sometimes when there's high emotional context over something that is clashing, we forget some of the deeper things that are of great value. And what kind of people ought we be? I've been going through some of Brenda's things, and I may have been moving a little too quickly for my own soul. So to tell you a quick story, I went through her clothes and started putting them in bags to give them. I gave them to a lady who goes to Haiti and takes clothes with her. And a number of the clothing pieces still had tags on them. And almost every single thing that was in there is something that I bought for Brenda at some time in her life. When we were first married, we had a contention over stuff like clothes, material things. I'm very non-material minded, and she was very clingy to things and very desirous of bling bling, and so we battled over that. And that was one of 2 or 3 really major differences in the way that we thought about life. And if all we had ever done was talk about the differences, then one of those times that the conversation led to one of us thinking, I really need to get out of this, we probably wouldn't have made it. But we determined that being together and being a family was far more important than the differences. And here I am now, looking at the clothing, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of clothes. I spent all that money on all those clothes, and I'm glad I did. It's a different place to be, because in the end, I think really what God is most concerned about is what kind of people are you going to be? I mean, that's what he keeps saying. I understand differences, but I don't understand breaking up. So anyway, that's a word for you and for the church, and I hope and I pray you have a great, great day.